Okay, is there someone missing? James?
He's
Yeah,
gone
we're
to the bathroom.
Yeah,
All right,
James's
then.
comfort break.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next part of the agenda. And we've got handouts.
Yeah, which one?
It's on the main agenda. And it is Southwark, IAS and the local offer. Cara, do you want to?
Chair, can I just say I should have...
Yes, I'm going to take Councillor Whittam now. You were going to say?
I should have declared an interest as SIAS is helping my daughter.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. We've got that down for record. Thank you for that.
It was asleep earlier.
Okay, Cara, over to you. You're very welcome. We're really looking forward to your presentation. Can you introduce yourself and your colleague?
Thank you. I'm Cara Jones and I manage Southwark's information, advice and support team alongside Southwark's local offer.
And I'm Glenn Garcia. I'm Head of Pupil Access Services, which includes the Southwark Information Service.
Welcome, thank you.
Thank you. To make a start, you actually have a copy of the presentation that we're about to have a look at. So we're going to have a look at our population, which is within our community, our market of who we're looking to support with the local offer and the advice, information and support that the team give. We're going to have a look at where we sit within education services, a look at the kind of things we've been working on since the changes in the Children and Families Act in September 2014 and the kind of changes that that's brought for the young people and families that we work with. We're going to look at what the information, advice and support team do as their duties changed hugely within the new legislation. And then we're going to look at the local offer and the youth offer, which is a special local offer aimed at our 16 to 25 market. Our first slide is having a look at who our market is. Mine's in colour. Well, that's quite nice.
No, it is, yes.
Yeah, nice to have in colour. So we have a
It's in the main one. It's in the main one, Charlie.
I haven't got for some reason.
You've not got...
Never mind, I'll show you. Go on.
So we have a schools population of nearly 40,000.
It's not the main one.
It's a small one.
No, it's the main... No, it's this one. It's that one.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Let's get it together. I want a colour one.
So we have a schools population of nearly 40,000, which is our 5 to 16 population in Southwark, which is the main market that we have previously been working with. Out of this population, our schools tell us via their census that we have 5,342 young people in our schools who are registered as having a special educational need or a disability. From these, we have 1,500 have what was previously called a statement and now transferring slowly into the EHC process. So that's the higher end of needs there. From the total population, 483 children with a disability or a special need are supported by our colleagues in the Children with Disabilities team or the Transition from Children to Adults social work team. So that's a look at where our advice is really targeted to, which would be around 7,500 families in Southwark. Our team sits within the education service, which is pupil access at the top of the list there. And when we're speaking with other departments, we like to show them which other teams we have within our service who can provide information and support and all of these services which are available for young people and families, especially when we're going to schools and we're explaining to them what help the council can give them with supporting the families and young people that we work with. The main changes which I feel that have made a huge difference to young people with special needs and disabilities following the changes to the Act are firstly the continuation to 25 for support via your statement or your EHC. Previously the service would have ceased in the year in which you're 19, And now that continues on to 25, so that really gives us an opportunity to stay working with those young people and families for as long as we can and ensure they're going into training, education, opportunities, and for us to be able to support them with additional funding and the practical information, advice and support throughout their journey into adulthood. It gives us that extra opportunity to support those families. And this also means that these families can come back into the system. So if a young person left school at 16 with significant special needs or a disability, and now they're 22, possibly, they're finding that they might need some help with accessing employment or education, they can come back into our service and we can help them with the new things that are on offer through this change to the law. Another feature of which is quite different for us is personal budgets for young people and families, which really allows some flexibility within the EHC planning process. And where one size doesn't fit all and we really need to think about a particular type of special package for a family, it gives us that flexibility for a family to be able to make some choices within a range of options rather than having to previously maybe use provision which is decided for them. They become part of that choice making, so that's quite a change for us. Statements are all transferring to an EHC process. So within the last year, if it was agreed that you needed a statement, that would have been actually an EHC. So that's a new assessment process and a complete education, health and care assessment through that multi-agency model. Also, all of the young people, the 1,500 young people who have a statement, are all transferring over to the new EHC, which means that they've all had a mini assessment, they've had a chance to come to the team, get some advice and support, and really have a look at what they're doing and where they're going, which previously may not have happened in such a thorough review process. So I think that's really been an opportunity for us to get back to the families and really say, okay, what's happening, where are you going, what's your onward journey at 16. So that's been quite exciting for us. The local offer is another really new and different thing that the Children and Families Act has brought in, and we'll speak about that a little more. And also the changes which have happened within our team, which was previously called the Parent Partnership Service, which has expanded with a name change, largely because we now work directly with young people also. So not just families of young people who are 0 to 25, but we're also working directly with young people from 16 to 25. So a family could have one of us working with the parents and one of us working with the young people independently to get their own views of where they'd like to go and how we could help them with that. We're also working quite closely with young people for them to be able to learn from an early age to access information and support from the council, which this new law's allowed us to be able to do. The team, which is this card, so there's a picture of this card, which is in colours, which is nice. So this explains what our team are actually able to do in a casework way with families. So we provide advice around education, health and social care from 0 to 25. We do individual casework and representation for those who need it most. So where it's really needed, we might support them through maybe a complaint system or an exclusion hearing or a disability tribunal if that help's really needed. I like to describe the service as help when things go wrong, because most of the families who come to us, something's gone wrong for them, or they feel something's not right and they'd really like some support with that. Maybe it's going to meet with the governing body of a school, which can be quite daunting, or it could be just help and support writing a letter or trying to think through what their future plans might be, and they might need a little bit of support with that. We have drop-in sessions, which are completely open drop-ins at Sunshine House, which is our Child Development Centre, at Peckham One Stop Shop, and also at the Yacht Team, which we recently started, which is another requirement of the Children and Families Act. There was a change there to help us think and focus around the support that we might give to young offenders, and supporting that team with information, advice and support around education and options. So that's something new that we've just started also. We also have training events and courses for children and young people, which the team have. Last week we had starting primary school, starting secondary school. We're inviting all young people and parents who are in year 11 here in these rooms on the 10th of November to talk to us about thinking about your future and in an inspiring way to think about what would you like to do, what's out there, what can we help you with. So we're quite excited to be inviting everybody here for that. We also work in partnership with local representative groups, Parent Carer Council and various forums across the council to really listen to what people would like in the offer, what they'd like from the team, to make sure that we're really responsive to the needs of the community. What slide do we have next? We have a few statistics. Just to give you a flavour really of the amount of families that we're seeing. So this is from a quarterly report. So we attended 58 meetings in schools where parents felt that they needed support in a formal meeting setting. We spoke with around 3,000 parents and young people on the phone, and more we're seeing young people calling us and asking for advice directly. And we have been marketing to young people in schools to phone up and ask for their own advice, and they are doing that. So we're also operating a triage service, which was part of a national pilot, that rather than families coming to us when things got really difficult, what we wanted to do was take at source families coming into the council and contact them and say, if you have any difficulties, or if you'd like to drop in and see us, if you want some information, here's our details. So the idea there was that people wouldn't struggle too long before they knew where to come to us. So that was a system that we developed that we call the triage system, and that's what we do now in Southwark. We meet with every family coming in and we say, this is what we have here, this is the local offer, these are the services we can provide. We had 378 families in this quarter coming to our training and drop-ins, which is about, we have various training including managing challenging behaviour of young people, managing autism, what to do when you're starting primary school, what to expect when you're transitioning from children's to adults. So we have a range of courses that parents ask us to put on, and they're really well attended. This gives you an idea of why people drop in to see us. Our most common reason, during this course we saw 273 young people and parents at our drop-in services. The main reason is things have gone wrong at school. That's one of our top reasons that parents would contact us. But we also have lots of other things they would drop in and ask for. Transport applications, exclusions from school is an area that we provide a lot of advice. Supporting people to make complaints or applications. We do a lot of trying to think things through and make plans with parents about how they can solve their own difficulties and what's going on for them. So that just gives you an idea of what we do at the drop-in.
That's really good.
We also manage Southwark's local offer. The decision was taken when every council in the country had to have a local offer, which basically puts everything on offer in one place. So we all know where to find it, whether we're professionals trying to support families or families who like to access information themselves. It's all in one place, and you know where to go. And you can access anybody's local offer in any neighbouring borough also. The decision was taken in Southwark that we would manage this resource as we speak to parents every day. We know what parents are asking for, we know what they need, and we're in a position to be able to ask them what they would like in the offer, and to manage the networks of people and professionals that we work with on a daily basis. This is an online resource, so lots of people can go online, have a look and support. Also, we're finding that professionals are using this, like our duty desks at the MASH and the early help teams are using this to find out about commission services that they could support families with, free services, training, parenting courses. It's all going on the offer in one place, so people are using that for that purpose. I just chose to highlight 2 areas of the offer just to tell you about what that would look like when you've gone in. So the Have Your Say section is a statutory item. The local offer has 150 statutory items that we had to put there. We've also developed the offer by parents and young people saying we would like to see. So lots of these things aren't statutory, they're what colleagues and parents and young people have asked us to do. The Have Your Say section is actually quite statutory. We have a duty to ask people for comments on the local offer regularly. We have a duty to publish them, publish any comments about how we publish comments, and what we did about your comments, and how that also filters into the commissioning cycle. How do we use this information to inform commissioning to ensure that we're buying the right things to support our community? So for the first time, rather than us deciding what everybody would like, we decide what training courses you would like and what things you'd like us to commission. The analytics of the local offer informs our commissioning process, so we're actually buying the things that our community are saying that they would like. So Have Your Say also, we're having a lot of consultation on here. We've put all of our forums on there across the council. So we're really looking at increasing participation, and we're developing a scheme where people are helping us with their time, giving up their time to come and do voluntary work with us and to improve our offer. We're also developing a scheme to give back to them, to give them something for their time. The next highlight on a particular section, I've chosen training and drop-ins, because I thought it was really interesting when we were doing the consultation. We spoke to about 600 parents and young people about what they wanted in the offer, and the number one thing that all of the parents told us was we want training to be able to do things ourselves. We don't always want people to come in and do it for us. So we spent a lot of time developing a training and drop-in tab on the local offer, whereby parents can come and have a look at the training that's going on across the council, across children's and adults. So we have all of our parenting courses, our specialist autism courses, and the really specialist end of maybe learning sign language, particular difficulties that you may have, such as sleeping or eating for your children. All of these courses all in one place, so you can go on, or I could sit with a family and say, do you know what, I think this would be really useful for you where you're at the moment. So that's all in one place. We've also got all of the drop-ins there, which are permission drop-ins, charity drop-ins, and drop-ins that we're doing across children's and adults. Our newest project, our latest project here, is the 16 to 25. You can see this looks a little bit different to what we have at the moment. Yeah. So on the 5th of November we're launching the youth offer. So young people told us we want our own offer. So sitting within the local offer, we're having a 16 to 25 offer, which is being co-written by young people, and including lots of the things that they want to know about. So rather than, again, us thinking about what we think young people want to know about, this is actually them telling us we really want to know about how to get a part-time job. That comes up time and time again. We really want to know about managing money, We want to know about grants and funding for universities. So they're telling us about what they want, and we're about to launch that, which is quite exciting.
When's that launching? Oh,
The
November
5th of November.
Yeah.
So we just have a little taste here. This is literally our work in progress on the wall behind us upstairs, which is about thinking about the categories and the kinds of things that young people have told us through consultation that are really important to them, and the information that they need to move on from school and into adulthood and be as successful as they can be.
Does that say on the top left-hand corner?
Yes, I noticed that. Sorry, that actually says education, training and apprenticeships.
Oh, right.
So that will all be in one place, which will be really nice. Sorry, that's not so clear. So the good thing about an online resource is that you don't have to wonder if it's being used, because you can log on to Google Analytics and they tell you exactly who's having a look, when they're having a look, and how long they're staying there. So we've got the...
Obviously, it's great having all this kit, but who's, I've forgotten the word, but who's actually managing that?
We are. You log
managing.
in.
So
you log in.
Our website.
Not me. I don't. Somebody logs in.
Yeah.
Within the team, we can log in. You can put in your dates and say, tell us about how many people have been having a look. Okay. So you've got your page views, which is who went on and had a look, which is nearly 40,000 in the last year. You've got your users and your new users.
That was me. Sorry.
Go on, sorry. Sorry, Karen.
And you've got your bounce rate, which is apparently very important, because that tells you that when people are coming to a page, are they immediately leaving because they didn't find it useful? So we've only got 57% bounce rate, which is quite good.
That's amazing.
Is that good?
Yes. So we're just...
Isn't it bad? Because it's 57's over 50%, is it? Or is that a different...
Yeah. So people might be going on to the right page or the wrong page, and as young people, parents and professionals are learning where different things are.
Oh, the bounce rate is where they click on, click off.
Come on, you're not staying to read it. So that's okay as a bounce rate as it goes, apparently, according to research. So we've also been having a look at returning users and new users, which is always interesting, because there would always be a finite number of new users, because our market is 7,500 parents and the amount of professionals that we have that would be accessing that. But what we do know is that when we go out and do large team meetings across our range of services, when we go out to schools, when we hold events in the evenings, that we can see that the rates of people coming onto the offer to have a look, we can really see that in the figures there. We can tell you that when we had all the really high numbers logging on, followed really big events that we were doing. So with that in mind, we need to keep going to publicise what we're doing to keep that momentum going. Now this is really new. This is really new for us. So we've now got the ability to know what people are looking at our offer for, which you have here. So there's two different things here. There's people coming straight onto the offer, and what are they looking for? So number one's education, then education, health and care plans, and so on. And then on the right, these are from social media. Because by a very popular demand of parents and young people, we have Twitter and Facebook accounts where we can publicise what's on the local offer, and the analytics tell us who comes from Twitter, who's been led by Twitter, who's been led by Facebook, or who's been led by our direct marketing. So it allows us to try and think about how we're reaching people, and when we're having events, how are we publicising them. So that's quite interesting. That's new. It's new, very new for us. And that's us. that's what we've been working on and working towards at the moment.
Thank you for that comprehensive introduction there. I'm sure people have got many questions. I'll come to you. Lynette.
Yes, no, that was really very interesting, and obviously wonderful that you're going out to ask the people that are using your service what they want. That really does underline how important the work is that you're doing. I just had a couple of questions. One, it was about the personal budgets for young people and families. Mm-hmm. How proactive are the young people or families in actually making suggestions to you or requesting that they use a particular service rather than you giving them advice?
I think there are two things there. I think that's about people having information and choices available, which is about the responsibility we have to make the local offer really comprehensive and make sure that everything we have on offer in Southwark is on the offer. And then for us to work with commissioning to say these are the gaps. So people do, young people and parents do have a choice to go in the offer, and that's something that we will always need to be working on. We will always need to have that in mind. It will never be finished, the offer. It's going to be a work in progress. In terms of taking up personal budgets in children's, it's been a very small number in the last year since it's been available, but that is something that we've just developed an application form for to make that far more simple to start thinking about applying for one, because previously there wasn't an application form, so that did mean that you had to craft a letter that could get quite complicated in places. So we're trying to make that far more accessible. We've also, the policy is on the local offer, which talks about what you can do, and right at the start of the application form and policy it does say that this is quite a complicated area, which it is. It's been complicated for us as staff to start thinking about what does that mean, and who could and who would and what would you do in this case. So we say to parents, come and see us, come to the drop-in, let's talk about why you feel you'd want a personal budget, what could be done, and let us help you with that form and write that letter. So that's how we're trying to increase choice and access to families.
No, that's very helpful. No,
I was just going to add to that this service is really broad and far-reaching, but the key element of it, what it's really there for, is to steer people when they're usually at a very vulnerable point in their life to access all of our services. So that's basically what this team do, and they do it really well. So instead of having to contact 10 council departments, once they know about the SIAS team and the local offer, they could just go, and it's a one-stop shop for information. And the team also work to empower parents to say, well, this is your right, this is what the law says, but also to balance expectations. And I've been along to some drop-ins just to, see what's going on. And time again, parents are just saying, wow, I just didn't know. And that's really powerful because, often the only person they would have spoken to in any detail about their children with needs will be a hospital or somebody who's telling them, what to do. But with the team, they can have a more informed and informal discussion and really start to learn, well, maybe I'll follow this route or that. So through the local offer and the team, that's the key focus. Although this is, all very colourful and glossy, I think the message is as simple as that. It's one place to get all your information and to feel supported in it.
That sounds very,
it's a very powerful service.
Yeah, that does sound powerful. I wonder, when you're working with schools, how the CBD is provided for the SENCOs and for the staff and for the classroom assistants that now have a lot more input and responsibility for managing the care, the various plans and the work that they're expected to do either as a classroom teacher or a support assistant or the Senko who manages that within the school?
We go to the training for new Senkos and inclusion managers, which is part of our standards team, and they have their training for new staff. So we go along there and have a quite a similar presentation on what's on offer and what we do. We also go to events at schools, and we invite regularly. I go to the head teachers conference, the early years providers conference, secondary school head teachers. We've also invited 16 plus providers in, so we're speaking to them all at one time to try and get them all to be thinking about what we're doing and how they feed in also. But it is a really important big job, which is not actually an easy one, because we have a turnover of staff in schools as well. So we do need to really keep up that momentum and make sure that schools know exactly what's on offer and what we're doing.
No, it's very helpful. Just wondered if you did anything for governors.
That's a good point. We do. We have had information in the Governor's Bulletin, and I have done presentations at the Governor's training here when the Governor's support team have asked. I've done I think I did 3 sessions last year for them.
Excellent.
But that is, but I think we do also need to make sure that we're including governors in that constant update about this is what we're doing and this is where we're going with it. I think that's a really good point.
Particularly link governors for safeguarding and child protection.
Thank you, that's a really good point.
Thank you. It's very impressive.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Right, I've seen Sunny. Anyone else?
Well, yeah, that was very, very enlightening. Thank you. I just wonder how, because there's so many, cuts there in terms of funding and so on. How does it impact on your wonderful services?
Okay, we do see a rise, like for example within schools and academies. If there have been a change, we might see that parents are diverted to us for further support. And what we try to do within the offer also, because we're really putting together for the first time in one place all of the things that you could access for free, or that you can buy in yourself rather than being reliant on a school to purchase it or the council. We are finding that it's opening up the range of things a little bit, and that this could actually be a really useful tool. As services might be reducing in some places, that we're actually highlighting and advertising services which might be commissioned that we didn't previously know about. So that's been really useful. I think we're kind of contributing to actually saying what do we have, what have we got, what can be really useful for families, and making that so all professionals know about it as well.
Yes, so it's really proving its worth.
And sorry, Chair, just my last question. I noticed that most of the information you're having, you probably have to be IT savvy in order to access.
Yes.
Even though I discovered that even there are some young people that not even IT savvy. For whatever reason. So how do you think this feedback you get represents the views of the users in order to allow you to be able to use that as a platform to either to improve the service or to see if things are actually going the way you plan it?
Okay, we have a number of ways in which we do that. So, for example, our 4 drop-ins, we have a comments book, and we have a star system whereby if you couldn't or didn't wish to write, you can colour in the stars if that's how you'd best communicate. So we have everything from that right through to asking our commission services. We're saying to them, when people come in and say to you, but we need more of X, Y, Z, we're saying, well, can you use your iPad, go onto the local offer and make those comments directly? So when we're publishing our comments, we're taking our comments book, which is literally being written in, our cards, our performance cards, all of the comments that we're getting back from consultation, because we have a lot of events around what do you think, and we asked our commission services to get those comments for us as well, and they're all channelled through to our comments section, which is in Have Your Say, and we've actually published all of our comments that we've had on the local offer. You'll find them in the Have Your Say section there, and what we're doing about them as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
James and then Kath. I haven't seen them.
Okay. My question relates to the drop-in service and casework management, casework representation, sorry. Obviously from the graph it shows that a lot of the take-up has been around parents looking for support with school problems and the rest, and it says 273 parents and young people took up the drop-in service. But my question is, are young people accessing this on their own? And if not, what's been done to encourage take-up? I know you have the youth offer coming up soon, but obviously in the interim between now and then, how do you encourage them taking up those services? And also with the casework part of the service, do you support people who are open to social care as well?
Okay. So in the first part of your question, we do it. That's a very interesting one. We're trying to do things in half terms and school holidays so young people can come along. Because our drop-in services, we would hope that they are in college training or employment and not coming and not so much coming along to our drop-in, because that might mean that they're out of school. But that said, we do see a lot of young people who are out of school, including new arrivals, which we mostly pick up at the Peckham one-stop shop. Because last year we saw new arrivals from 63 countries for school admission purposes. So a lot of those are young people. They might be accompanied or unaccompanied or brought along by their social worker. So we have that end of the market. In terms of getting young people to look at what they want, we've just recently started to work with young people to ask young people how they'd like to access information, because we find that they'll tell us what they think we'd like to hear. So we're saying to young people, you speak to your peers and see how you'd like to access the information. We also go along to schools and colleges. We've spoken with the youth council and the youth groups within schools. They have their special group where they might ask young people for their views on things. So we've asked them how they'd like to access things. And that's why we're having the Year 11 event, which is an evening event in November. And we're also looking to do things in the school holidays, whereby we might have whole day drop-ins where young people could come along and talk about their future, talk about what they want and how they might get there, and starting to plan for their future.
Is that answered your question?
That's another question.
Sorry, can you just remind me of the second part?
I was just asking if the people who provide casework and representation to, are they normally open to social care or?
Can be.
Can be.
Can be, because there is a large crossover. We're working across all of the social care teams with all of our colleagues there. And we work really closely with the referral and assessment team, with the children with disabilities team, transition team, no recourse team, the yacht team. So we have really good links with those teams, and they know when to refer to us, and likewise. So we do have in different ways with different teams a lot of contact on a daily basis.
So the cases get stepped down to you as well?
Oh, they can do from the early help service. It could well be that something comes into the MASH and it's quite information and support based, and they may feel that stepping down to us for some courses maybe or some information might be useful.
I mean, I'm just going to hand over to Kath and then we'll round this off now. But before I do that, I did want to say that I'm putting a group together of professionals and service users, which I hope will get along. But I can send you the dates. I think it's November the 23rd. Obviously, you're really busy, but if you or one of your team could come along to that, that would be great. I'm just interested in the transition, you know, that people get access to apprenticeships. I was looking at that really, because one of the things that I was concerned about was that all the effort that goes into the apprenticeship stuff doesn't mean that older people, people with special needs, and you know, drop through the net really. I wanted to make sure that even though we've got this gold standard apprenticeship, you know, I wanted to know how people really felt about it, you know, from groups which characteristically find services like the apprenticeship scheme hard to access.
Definitely.
But,
Yeah,
you know,
we'd love to come.
really, that would be really great.
And we can advertise it as well on the offer for you.
Really? Okay. Oh, yeah, of course. Okay. Now, some of the work that we're doing, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but, you know, we're tying this together and we want to try, where we can, we try and add value to the work that's going on in the council. It's not just scrutinising for the sake of it. And Kath's our resident expert in this. So we've been looking at the autism strategy, we're looking at this. And, you know, at the end of it, we'll put all our comments and, you know, feed it back. So with that in mind, I'm just going to hand over to Kath now before we round up.
I don't want to sound very negative about this, to be honest, because SIAS have been helping myself and my daughter. But I would like
just you know, just be honest, really.
Okay.
That's what,
well,
because
my experience of transitioning from a statement to an EHD plan was not good at all, and I had sleepless nights and a lot of anxiety about it because there was no signposting whatsoever within our draft EHD plan moving forward, and
when was that?
that was just before the summer.
Okay.
So I had no idea about SIAS and what they did. I was given a leaflet during our very short assessment process, and the woman who did our assessment process kept saying, after I was complaining to her that this was not very good, oh, go and see SIAS. I said, well, who are SIAS? What? And it was just not, that information was not available readily, and how important your service is. Once I was in touch with SIAS, then a different experience. I would say year 11 is too late to do this event. You should be targeting year 9s onwards. Your location of your drop-ins, I should look at that very carefully. You seem to be only in the middle of the borough, nobody at the top end of the borough, or indeed in Dulwich. So
is that Cambridge House?
Well, it was Sunshine House.
Where is Sunshine House?
Peckham
Peckham.
Road, a bit further up on
Oh,
the
yeah,
other side.
sorry, carry on, Kath.
Yeah, I know we're short of time.
No.
Looking at the offer, I had another look at it today. I regularly have a look at it, and I still find dead ends. When you go in to find out, for example, about traineeships, it tells you what traineeship is, but it doesn't give you any click on to going on to finding out how to get onto a traineeship. I've found things in strange places, so it may be provided by a particular provider, and all their services are in one of these boxes, but there should be links to other boxes because there are different services that that provider gives. So the links within the local offer are not there. I've also found links on there which are completely extraneous, you know, talking about places and services in Birmingham and all over the place, and not specific to Southwark. So I know it's a work in progress, and I know it was put together very quickly, but those sort of interlinks need to be looked at carefully, because otherwise you would miss some of the services that would be very relevant to your child. So those are my points, really.
Yeah,
So
that's
just
very good feedback, isn't it? You can't. I mean, that's the thing. You know, I mean, counsellors are normal people, so we do use the service. So, so that's excellent feedback from everyone. I think the thing that I get is that it's not just about the website. You know, that you obviously give such a lot of support.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's just communication again, isn't it? How you communicate, and also, I mean, the work that you're doing by engaging young people, that will improve things, because as soon as you start talking to young people, they know so much more about websites than we could ever, well, you're relatively young, than we could ever know. So hopefully that will, you know, that will improve things. But also, I mean, I was speaking to your director, well, our director, David Thornton, about this. I mean, I've worked with some, well, they were bright young things back then, but, you know, they always said, why would you expect young people to come to your sites when they've got amazing Facebook sites and, you know, basically Flickr sites and so on? So, you know, maybe we could talk to some of those people about, you know, help with your site as well.
Great.
But I think, you know, what we usually do, we don't usually just reiterate the points. We go back, think about it. As you can see, Julie takes copious notes. So we'll pull out some recommendations, or in this sense, I think, just advice, really, and give you that. But thank you so much for that session. It was really good, and I hope you found it useful as well. And we'll write some of this up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.